Do it for the art. I always say that. I'm always like, oh, like, let's fuck my life up for the art. Yeah, I should probably get that checked out, but here we are.
You're listening to OurSpace with Matt Vettese.
Welcome to OurSpace with Matt Vettese. This is a show for millennials, some Gen Z and Gen X as well, that grew up listening to emo, pop punk, and all sorts of music under the alternative umbrella. You know, the kind of stuff that got us bullied in high school for listening to it. It's a show that allows us to connect with the bands that we grew up loving and, of course, discover new music in the same spirit of MySpace. But this isn't MySpace. This is OurSpace, and OurSpace is now powered by elderemo.com. They want to do the same thing, except they want you to do it in style with a bunch of awesome t-shirts, hoodies, and more. Whether you're headed to Warped Tour or waiting for your next show, they've got you covered with early 2000s peak scene lore t-shirts, some kitty shirts, really cute one that says Stink 182, and even stuff for your furry friends, like a little bandana that says Motion Kitty Soundtrack. Plus, if you head over to elderemo.com now and use the code OurSpace, you'll get 15% off your next order. Link's going to be in the description of this episode as well. This week, we're talking to LOLO, one of the up-and-coming voices within the pop-punk world right now. I've had the chance to speak with her a couple of times in the past couple of years now, but this time, it's all going to be about her. Of course, if you look back, she's made a name for herself by opening for major artists like Simple Plan. But she has a new album out now, April 17th, called God Forbid, A Girl Spits Out Her Feelings, and she's playing this year's Warped Tour every single date. Just a quick note on that as well. We didn't talk about Warped Tour at all because a little behind the scenes moment, this chat actually happened before the Warped Tour dates were announced, and I didn't know about it. So we talk a lot about the record, which is still incredibly awesome and exciting. Go and pre-save that if you're listening before April 17th, and go and give it a listen if you're listening after. And before we dive into the chat, just remember to subscribe and follow the show if you want more chats like this so you never miss another awesome guest, and leave a review to help continue to grow the show so we can continue to get more awesome guests. Now let's get into the chat with LOLO. All right, we're joined by LOLO today. Her new album, God Forbid, A Girl Spits Out Her Feelings, is out April 17th. LOLO, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like we've crossed paths a couple of times in the last couple of years. And, I've also watched a whole bunch of other interviews with you and seen a whole bunch of viral stuff. And I always feel like it's kind of around pop punk or other bands that you've listened to or been inspired by or have played with. But, you have built up your own fan base now and you're doing your own thing. And I really just want to focus on you and your music. And I'm curious now, with the attention being shifted from, you're playing with this artist to you're releasing your album, you're going on tour. It's the LOLO show now. How does that feel?
It feels really surreal, honestly. Obviously, it feels amazing. I mean, I think being an opener and, learning from all these other artists is amazing. And it's like so low pressure because everything's not relying on you. And like, I always say, like, they already aren't here to see me. They just want me to be done so that the main person can be there. All I have to do is just exceed their expectations a little bit and they'll probably like me. So it's very low pressure. But now that I really am my own artist, I feel like, and I'm really like out of my shell and I know who I am and I'm doing my own tour and all that kind of stuff. I love that so much. And, like performing to a crowd where the opener, a lot of like, oh yeah, oh, she's good. Or maybe not, but then performing to your own crowd. Yes, it's so much pressure and everything's about you and you're scared and whatever, but the feeling is like no other when everyone is screaming your words and you know that they're there for you and they bought a ticket for you. And it's so awesome.
You've been experiencing that a lot more lately.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's so surreal only because I was an opener so many times. I really feel like I put in my hours being an opener, and now I'm a headliner and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I feel like it was just yesterday that I was an opener and here I am now. And It's just like, wow, this is my life now. It's great.
When did it feel like that switch actually happened?
I would say when I did my first headline tour, first of all, I was scared shitless to put it on sale. That's actually, I didn't do a headliner for a while because I was always like, are people going to buy tickets? Like, I'm scared. And I put my first tour on sale. It was UK and Europe, and it like sold out immediately. Like, we had to upgrade so many venues, and then we had to upgrade some venues twice. And already at that point, I was like, okay, my confidence has shot up. Like, people want to come see me. So that's amazing. Then once I did my first show, I was like, okay, this feels really good. This is where I'm meant to be.
I'm super happy for you that is where you're meant to be. And it's been happening for you. It's been really cool to watch you go from playing with bands like, Simple Plan, and bands that you've even expressed through OurSpace Media before. Like, these are bands that you grew up listening to and you look up to, and now to go and sell at your shows. Of course, must be such an exciting feeling that I can't even imagine. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about the shift in your music and the style and your songwriting, because your debut record, Falling for Robots and Wishing I Was One, you used, the Wizard of Oz as a metaphor for wanting to be heartless. On this new record, it kind of seems like you're refusing to apologize for being yourself, or for being human, or for being a girl, right? God forbid a girl spits out her feelings. So can you talk to me a little bit about the growth in your songwriting between these two albums?
Yeah, like I feel like while I was writing the first album and I was like wishing I could be a robot and all this kind of stuff, I was learning a lot about myself and my emotions. And when I was putting my show together, touring that first album, I kind of ended every show by saying, like, throughout all of this, I feel like we're all learning together that it's okay to be over emotional and oversensitive, and that's like what makes us human, and that's so beautiful. And we get to feel these things together. And as I was making those realizations, I feel like that kind of prepared me to enter into the next phase of my life and my songwriting, and to just like be relentless and shameless in all of that. And now I'm kind of here, and I've learned that I can spit out my feelings and it's going to be okay. And it's actually the healthy thing to do. I mean, to a degree, I probably do it way too much, but whatever. That's like, I'm kind of over that now. And I'm just accepting my fate as a chronic oversharer. And
you know what? Sometimes for the art, it works.
Do it for the art. I always say that. I'm always like, oh, like, let's fuck my life up for the art. Yeah, I should probably get that checked out, but here we are.
We kind of mentioned the Wizard of Oz references from the first record, but you've also recently released a single called 007. Talk to me about using movie references in your music.
I really love doing that. I remember when I first came out to LA and I signed with APG Publishing, and the owner, Mike Caron, I remember he told me if I ever get stuck to look at movie titles, and that it could be really inspiring. And I really took that to heart. I think that movie titles that are great movies, why wouldn't they make a great song? So I completely agree with him for that. I just also love movies. I mean, Wizard of Oz is my favorite movie. So I was really happy that I got to use that as the artwork and kind of like put that whole vibe into my touring show. And yeah, I actually have a few titles on this album. 007 is a movie. The Punisher is a movie. Well, it was a comic and then a movie. The Devil Wears Converse is after The Devil Wears Prada. So yeah, it's actually
very fitting.
A few, yeah. I like it. I don't know. I like it. And then my album artwork for this is, it's based off of The Princess and the Pea. So it's like still a story, which I like.
Do you look towards movies for inspiration in your song, or is that more so of, you've got writer's block and let's look here for a source when you can't write?
Definitely the latter. Like, they always say like, you have your whole life to write your debut album and then just like 1 year to write your sophomore album. And, I definitely felt that, and the pressure was on, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to just get inspired? Like at the time I was just like, I'm so happy. I'm in a happy relationship. Like, how am I going to write so many other songs like what's there wrong with my life at the moment, keyword. You know, everyone goes through their ups and downs, but at the time when I was feeling like happy and stuff, I was like, okay, I'm going to look at some movie titles. And I kind of went and did that, but it's more so like a title thing. But also I sometimes watch movies or TV shows and find inspiration from it. Not that I'm writing a song necessarily about like that TV couple, but it's like I'll take something that happened to them or that they said, and I'm like, oh, something like that happened to me, and it jogs something, and I kind of like write it about that.
You know, I never thought about that. And I think you're probably the first artist where it's really clicked to me. I don't know how many other artists, if any, have really done that. But if you think about it, like you said, the stories in the movies are good stories. Like they're big box office hits because people relate to the stories being told, whether it's romantic or whether it's a slasher or whatever it is, people like that actual story. So why not use that in songwriting?
For sure.
When you're writing songs and getting inspiration from movies, though, melodically, are you looking to make them more cinematic, or is this just more so within your songwriting on your lyrics?
Yeah, definitely not melodically looking to make them cinematic. I mean, yeah, it's weird. Like I can never really picture the melody kind of just like comes out. I never really have a plan for it. Funnily enough, I originally, when I wrote down the title of 007, I was like thinking that it should be like a sad ballad. I don't know why. It was just in my head as that. And then it ended up being some like really cool kind of like alternative situation happening with like a really cool drum beat. We kind of just went with that. For my song, The Punisher, I was expecting that to be like a lot heavier, and then ended up being more singer-songwriter-y. The Devil Wears Converse, though, I did know that it had to be that kind of like pop. So that one I kind of picture. But yeah, I'm not really thinking about cinematics, I guess, when I'm thinking of melodies and stuff. I start everything on my guitar in my room, so it's hard for me to picture production sometimes. So I'm so happy that I get to work with so many amazing producers.
Walk me through what it was like putting together a song like Me with No Shirt On.
For that song in particular, really, the story is true. The beginning of it, anyways. I did send a risky text and was waiting for a reply for what I thought was very long. I eventually did get the reply, but when I first wrote down the idea, it was when I hadn't got the reply yet. So I kind of had like a verse, which it was, I sent you a picture of me with no shirt on with the very similar melody. And then I brought it into a session a couple weeks later with two men who I'm very close with. So it felt like a safe space. But I was like, hey guys, hear me out. I want to write a song called Me with No Shirt On. And it's about this. But at the core, it's not actually about that. It's just like that moment triggered the realization that this person no longer feels the same way about you. And I think that's a really sad thing. And that's why I really like that song, because it's about such a specific moment, or you think it's about such a specific moment, but really it's about such a big thing. And it's just that little specific moment triggered your realization that this person doesn't feel the same about you, or they're losing interest, or something that is a much bigger topic.
And that was, yeah, I guess the larger picture of that. You said you got the reply. Everything was all good. Is this second half of the story?
It wasn't a good reply. Well, it was literally like, sorry for not replying. Like, I was just at CVS. Like, what? Nothing about the picture? Is it good? Like, I was just like, what the fuck? Anyways, if you're listening out there, don't send those kind of pics. Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
At the very least, it spiraled you into picking up the guitar and writing a smash song out of it.
Exactly. So,
you recently signed to Fearless, staple label for, alternative music. How is having that infrastructure behind you? How has that changed the way that you wrote this album versus your debut?
Honestly, it feels very similar to how I wrote my debut. I think the beautiful thing about Fearless and Hopeless Records are that they are an indie label. So, I'm I'm a control freak, and I like to control what songs I put out and how I do it and what it's going to look like and all that kind of stuff. And, I've heard some horror stories about major labels and deciding everything for you or keeping you locked in your deal because you're not going to do what they want. Or, I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping they're just, but anyways, so the good thing about Fearless and Hopeless is that I kind of get to run my own ship, but they still at the same time will like give me suggestions and stuff like that. I think the main difference between Hopeless and Fearless is that Fearless runs through Concord, which is like through Universal. So I think I just have like this time around maybe a little bit more like resources. Not resources, maybe yeah, I guess I just have more money to make cooler videos and stuff. I would say that's the only difference, really. I think the people at both labels are so amazing. But it is nice to have the extra support financially for sure.
Absolutely. You famously gave yourself a vocal pull up by screaming at a best friend's show, and now you're gearing up for a run. You've gone over that, it seems now. Walk me through what that's like, gearing up for an album release and a tour just after that healing process.
Yeah, I mean, definitely was scary because when I had my surgery, was like, oh my God, am I going to be okay? But I'm healing very nicely for anyone listening. Everyone's saying that it's going great. So I have a huge sigh of relief that everything was successful. But yeah, definitely a lot of like, I've been doing speech therapy because my thing is like, I've been in vocal lessons for a while now. And before shows, I always like warm up and I cool down. So that wasn't the issue. I mean, I just had done a huge tour with Simple Plan and I didn't lose my voice once the whole tour. And I was taking such good care of myself. So it's such a bummer that a couple of days later, I had literally just screamed like a crazy person and did that to myself. I always beat myself up. This kind of happened to me also when I inspired, my song Faceplant was inspired by this, but I fell and I broke both sides of my jaw, my chin and my nose. And in moments like that, I just always say to myself, fuck, like I wish I could just go back 1 millisecond and just not scream or just not step into a fountain and fall, like that would be nice. But it happened and it's just going to make tour all the more special when I get back.
Are you going to be a little bit more careful with the tour or?
So this is the thing. I was always so careful on tour. But I definitely am never screaming again. Never screaming again. I don't care.
We're not going to get a Screamo LOLO record anytime in the future.
No. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a little scared. So I'm probably going to like tread carefully in terms of how I am, I guess. But in terms of the singing, nothing will change. So.
And for fans listening and watching this.
Yeah, they won't know this. They won't know this.
You're good to go.
I'll make sure of it. No, I would never sacrifice anything for my show. So.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you're doing better and that you're on the right track to having an awesome tour. And I'm curious if you're excited for anything in particular on this upcoming run.
I'm excited to like put my show together because I like loved my debut headline tour show. I thought I just love it so much. And I'm actually kind of nervous. I'm like, what am I going to take out? Because I can't just like play all the new songs and sing all the old ones. So that's going to be difficult for sure. But I'm excited that I'm doing bigger rooms this time. I mean, last time I put rooms on sale that were so much smaller than this time. Like it's crazy. I'm pretty sure, my first London show, we ended up upgrading it twice, but like what I put on sale was 150 and I sold more tickets than that in just my pre-sale for this time. So I'm just like, whoa, back to the surreal thing, but also just excited to like bring the show to a bigger scale. There's some shows that are still going to be smaller because there's places like Vienna or Prague that I've never played by myself before. So I think it's going to be interesting on the tour because like some nights will be like really intimate and then some nights are up to like 1,500 people. So it goes really from 200 to 1,500, which is like a really wide range. So I'm also excited to just like have the different vibes at the shows, like the more intimate ones and the not. I think they both have their pros and cons, and it's cool that I get to do both on the same run.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like it would be cool because you can go from a bigger show to a more intimate show and kind of almost like get a break a little bit.
Yeah.
But are there any songs in particular from this new record that you're really excited to get fans to hear live?
Well, I'm really excited to play like the little bit more stripped back ones. I've been practicing them on the guitar nonstop. So I definitely want to play more guitar, I think, this time around. I like how it looks, and I don't know, I'm excited to play all of them. Not one in particular, I don't think. But I'm excited to test them, because I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, everyone's going to love this one live. And then it's like the opposite. It's the one that I thought no one would like live. It's the fan favorite. So I'm excited to test them out and see.
Do you have a personal favorite on this record that hasn't been released yet?
It's so hard to be asked this, but I think Lobotomy and You and The Punisher, probably my two favorite that haven't been released. Yeah, if I had to pick one, maybe Lobotomy and You.
And what is it about that one?
I love ballads that like rip your heart out, and I think that this one does that. I guess I could say what it's about. It's about like when you're hurt by someone that you still love. And it's like, I wish that I could just like wipe this from my brain and just be with you. But unfortunately, sometimes when something like this happens, it kind of like ruins it, and the person's kind of ruined for you. And it's like, okay, shit. So now I'm upset that you did something bad to me and I'm not with you anymore. Like, I wish I could just forget what happened and have you back. The you that I thought I knew, the you that I put up in a pedestal in my mind. And I think something about that is really heartbreaking. And, yeah, I don't know. I guess I really feel it and relate to it.
I think you'll get a lot of messages about that one when it comes out for sure then.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. As a Canadian, knowing that you're Canadian as well, thank you. Yeah. What's it like being able to sell out a show in places like Berlin or Vienna?
It's crazy. I'm always like, what? Did I do that? No, you guys are lying. What? Like, I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. And people are like singing all the words, and English isn't even their first language. And I'm so in awe of them, and the fact that I think I have really big imposter syndrome. I remember like on tour, I would be like, well, this isn't a real concert because it's my concert. Like, this isn't a concert. It's just like my concert. So it's not real. That's kind of like what I would tell myself, which is crazy because then I would remember, wait, no, it is a real concert. Someone bought a ticket. They drove here and they're buying a t-shirt and they're listening to my music because it's a real concert. So that always messes with my mind.
And you got rooms that are filling up now at 1,500 people. It's definitely a real concert.
It's definitely a real concert. It's crazy.
What's the most Canadian thing you find yourself doing on
Apologizing.
tour?
Oh, on tour? Yeah, I guess. Apologizing constantly. Just today, someone was like, you say sorry so many times. I'm like, I guess that's just like the Canadian in me. What else on Canadian on tour? My whole crew is Canadian. Actually, one of my drummers is American. But besides that, my whole crew is Canadian. And I think people always find it so funny touring with us because like we're all just like, I don't know how to explain this, but there's like a specific, well, I mean, you would know, but to the listeners, like I feel like Canadians just have such a specific type of humor that other people sometimes think is weird. Yeah, I feel like sometimes people that like we tour with, like if we share a tour bus or something, everyone always thinks we're so nice, but they're like, huh, interesting humor. Yeah.
What type of humor? Nice, what type of jokes?
I don't know. It's like, it's not even the type of jokes, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Like I find sometimes Americans think I'm a weirdo. I mean, maybe I am, but the other Canadians, like we vibe in that way. And sometimes Americans like are like, wait, what? Like, I feel like, yeah, maybe the sarcasm. I feel like Canadians, but British people have this too. They have a high level of sarcasm, or like we'll say something crazy and it's like, obviously that's a joke. But sometimes when I say it to an American, they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, oh no, that was a joke. And they were like, oh, ha ha, ha ha.
Totally misread. Yeah, you know what? That happened to me when we were a young weekend. I had said something to another American, and I had said something along the lines of like, just come on over here. Like, I knew that it was somewhere that they shouldn't have been, or like, you know, shouldn't be doing. But I was like, you know what? They were asking me like, hey, can I get permission to go and do this? I was like, look, just come over here, and it's better to ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Just do it. Right. And they're like, no, well, like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, you never heard that saying before? I don't know. I feel like we say that all the time. Like, just do it. Ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
I say that all the time. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's so weird because like, we're so similar, Canadians and Americans, but then there's a lot of like cultural differences. I mean, they say pasta and we say, every time I say pasta, people give me such weird looks.
I will say this though, I would give you a weird look too, even though I am a fellow Canadian.
Oh, are you a pasta guy?
I'm a pasta guy, yeah. But I come from an Italian family.
Okay.
So
I'm such a pasta girl. I'm a Super Mario. Yeah.
Super Mario, yeah. It's
you
the
say Mario,
okay,
that's Italian. Yeah. Italian. Yeah.
That's it. How do you say I want to say it without you saying it.
Spell it.
Bruschetta.
Wait, BRUS. Oh, bruschetta?
Yeah, see, no.
Oh, bruschetta. You say bruschetta.
There you go.
Yeah.
This turned in from a music chat into how do you pronounce
phonetics,
it?
Yeah. Phonetics and linguistics, yeah. That's funny.
You've called yourself a chronic overthinker, though. If you can go back to the days when you first started writing songs and tell yourself something now, what would you tell yourself?
That's a good question. I would tell myself, don't try to just write songs that are relatable. Just write songs about your life and write songs that you like. Don't write songs that that you're trying to get other people to like. I think that was a big problem for me when I first started writing songs. I was like, I need to be relatable. And like, I would kind of like dumb down my songs to be more broad. And now I know that that's just like not it. And you have to be, I think that the more specific I am, the more people are like, oh my God, I relate to that so much. Like that reminded me of this. And, you know, and I think also it took me a couple of years to really like get into my comfort zone of like, this is the music I like. This is what I want to make. And I think if you don't like your own music, not that I didn't like it, but I think if you're not like a day one ride or die for your own music, how do you expect other people to be?
I think that's a very good point. I mean, you got to love your own work first, because at the end of the day, if you're making work for yourself, like, then you're happy with it, and you can't control how other people interpret things, just how you put them out there. Right.
Yeah.
I famously heard someone say something along those lines, and it might have actually been on this podcast. I just can't remember who it was, but yeah, they said like, I can control what I put out there and what I intend, but I can't control how you listen to it. And that had me thinking of the way that I listen to music as a fan as well. Like, an artist can write something that, you know, maybe it's a story about their breakup, but I'm kind of taking it as like a song about losing a loved one, and it has like a totally different meaning for me than the artist originally intended, and they can't control the way that it was interpreted. And with that being said, I'm curious if you have something on this record, whether it's a song, a lyric, a line, or anything like that, that you really hope hits home for the listener.
I really like Dumbest Girl in the World. I feel like really hits on like naivety of girls, I guess, but anyone really, naivety that's like trying to see the best in people when sometimes they're just like shitty. And I feel like that's definitely like a really good lesson to try to recognize and like to not be as naive, I guess. That would definitely be one that I want people to like sit with, because I feel like I am constantly trying to see the best in people, and sometimes it gets my heart broken. So yeah, that would definitely be one. There's definitely one that I'm also thinking of that I can't remember, but I guarantee you after this interview ends, I'll remember. Because that's what happened last time.
You can send me a message and then I'll just edit it in.
Okay, perfect.
I think a lot of themes within your music are written, obviously you're a woman and as a woman, and I think that a lot of women can relate to your music, but I think it's just kind of calling out the elephant in the room as well, that there's not that many women in the pop punk sphere and whatnot. And you've obviously played with a lot of pop punk bands and pop punk festivals and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious what you would want to say to younger LOLO or even younger women that want to break into the scene and write the type of music and tour with the type of bands that, you've toured with.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would definitely say, number one, make sure you love your music and make sure you're making stuff that you want to make and not what you think someone's going to like or what someone's telling you or, trying to be someone else. Like, you have to just be your own person. And also just don't compare yourself to other people, which I'm going to tell this to myself too, because I constantly, like, how do you not? But really try to not, and just be just blinders on your own path. And I really truly believe that if you do that and you just keep going and you don't give up, you have to succeed. You
Incredible.
have to.
I love that. Very inspiring. One question that I ask at the end of every single episode, because the show is about connecting with the artists that you love and then also discovering new music and supporting other acts as well. Are there any up and coming or underrated artists or bands that you feel that you're listening to that you feel more people need to check out?
Well, I have to plug my openers on my last tour, Gus. That's actually where I lost my voice from screaming because it was so good. Gus, amazing. And Ella Red, amazing. I feel like she's really having a moment right now. So I would definitely check out both of them. I always try to and this girl, Caroline Romano. Oh my God. She is so good. I am obsessed with her. So check them out. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. LOLO's album, God Forbid a Girl Spits Out Her Feelings, is out on April 17th. LOLO, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you are watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, follow the show, rate and review it, and go and pre-save God Forbid a Girl Spits Out Her Feelings immediately as you're done wrapping up this podcast.
Yay.
Thanks so much again, LOLO.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to OurSpace with Matt Vettese. If you enjoyed yourself, please support the show by subscribing and leaving a review.